Welcome to Busted Pencils Fully Leaded Education Talk. Yeah, the new formatted podcast. Johnny Lupinacci, loving this now. Friday, check it out, man. Going by first downs, Friday night lights. We'll even throw in there, if you like, calling it busting balls. But new Friday segment every week that we are going to drop, really focusing on truly looking at public schools, the extracurriculars, whether that's Friday night football, whether that's the choir concert, whether that's the spring social, all of those things that go into a public school and those extracurriculars that bring together the community. Johnny Lupinacci, how are you, my friend?
Man, I'm loving it. The week is cooking. It's good week. Got these new drops. Been loving getting together with our guests. I love this segment because obviously, I'm a coach.
Yeah.
Always been a coach and a teacher. And I love all the extra things our public school systems bring to not only our students' education, but to really like the whole town energy, like families and community and all the volunteers that go into it. So excited that we got this segment, Tim. Excited for our guest today.
Yeah.
Loving that it's fall. I mean, football is cooking. I love football, but so many other things too. Man, let's jump right into it.
Let's jump in, man. We've got Civic Media's own Jimmie Kaska. Jimmie, welcome to Busted Pencils, our friend.
Great to be back with you guys. It's always fun to talk about things in education in Wisconsin. You guys do an amazing job of covering the topics, and I'm happy to be some small part of it with you guys.
Well, the whole idea, some small part of it, actually, this Friday night or this Friday drop that we're going to start doing here every week, though, this really has been motivated by you, Jimmie, because I mean, hey, first of all, give us the credentials on the whole idea about, who is Jimmie Kaska, background, what are you doing right now? Yes, we know you're affiliated with Civic Media, but introduce yourself to the Busted Pencil listener.
That's all right. I've been with Civic Media for a little over a year and a half. I'm the sports director here at Civic Media, really making a concerted effort on all of our high school stations, or all of our stations to do high school sports broadcasts. One of the partnerships we have with sports.net, we have anywhere between 8 and 10 stations doing high school football in a given week now, which is about half of our stations. So if you go to Sports and you look at the stream links, you see Civic Media covering most of the page now when it comes to streaming options. I have been broadcasting high school sports since 2002 when I was a senior in high school. I got hurt my senior year and needed an outlet. So the radio station said, well, you can sit here and talk if you want. My first radio broadcast in high school, I said 3 words. I counted. I said 3 words in the whole broadcast. They gave me a headset. I made those 3 words count. I think I said good and awesome and sweet.
Those are sweet words.
Good words, right?
Yeah.
Great vocabulary as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. But I stuck with it, found a niche in it early as a producer, got into some games, started doing college sports, high school sports. Been doing that since then for stations in Eau Claire, in Milwaukee, and Madison. So it's been really fun to do that. I've done games for stations pretty much across the state. I want to say I've been on about 60 different sets of call letters in the state. Doing play-by-play. So I've done a lot of high school sports in my time. Did state broadcast for like the State Audio Network for over a dozen years. So I did that for a while. And then right now I'm actually coaching high school football the last few years. So
I'm going to say, go into those other connections too. I mean, the big full package of Jimmie Kaska.
Yep. So now I'm coaching football as well. On top of it, I've always had a long appreciation for what coaches and administrators do. And I now being a part of it and helping manage a program as a volunteer, because I'm on a school board, as a volunteer to help a program, and now coaching as a coordinator. Even last year to the point that all the stuff I put together for our team just to promote it and market it. Last year, the conference named me the assistant coach of the year. So it was in my second year of something I was volunteering to do. It really took me aback a little bit. I was pretty humbled by it because I don't think of what I do as something that's like award-worthy recognition. I just want the kids to have a good experience, and I want them to grow beyond like, can you throw or catch a football? I want them to be in a program that embraces community aspects, gets their grades up. I mean, we had 91% of our team on the honor roll last year during football season. Like, these are things I'm proud of. And being at Civic Media has given me a forum, a platform to take these ideas I hold about like why I want to be involved in high school sports and promote these things. and it's really given me an avenue to take the good things I do, whether it's coaching or what it was just play-by-play broadcasting, and bring it into something that's more community-minded and focused, which is a huge reason why not only this show, of course, but just civic media in general has been just an amazing experience for me to kind of take these things and push it forward. So that's my background. That's my elevator pitch on why I do these things. But it's a lot of fun. I really do enjoy this part of my life.
That's awesome. So we could call you Coach K here on the show, huh? Jimmie
The
Kaska
kids
here.
call me Coach K, so why not?
I bet. Awesome work, Coach K. Glad to have you here. You know, one of the things we talk about all the time on Busted Pencils is, you know, what's happening in education. And Tim, you've always said this, like, folks, when we're talking about funding public education or supporting it or having conversations in our community about the importance of our school system, right, as a bedrock of democracy, I mean, it's all the things you always said, Tim. These aren't extracurriculars; they're part of like the core experience. Jimmie, you talked about that from a coach's perspective, but just like kind of picking your brain while you're here with us, introducing this segment, right? We want to be able to connect folks to the exciting things happening in their community. Like these are truly all hands on deck. So Coach K, some of the experiences for our listeners, like what's like, how do you experience that as a coach and as an advocate for high school sports, like the importance that that programming brings to not only young people, but our whole community?
You know, broadly, whether it's sports, music, arts, anything like that, having your community's name attached to something that you have students going out and doing, it's a moment of pride, right? You want to support the kids that are in your community doing big things that are above and beyond what's asked of them as a student. Like you're asked to go to class, do your homework, get your grades, graduate. But this is a case where you're taking exceptional students that are taking the option to go above and beyond. They're participating in something. They're growing skills, whether it's leadership, team building, learning things that they can take with them in life. One of the huge things that I really believe in as a coach, that as a football coach, is I don't want you coming out of the football program like, hey, I caught 7 footballs this season and that was really good for me. I don't care about that. I want to see how you are interacting with teammates, coaches, adults. Are you coachable? Are you someone that we can talk to and instruct? Because when you go to a job and they tell you have to do something, are you going to be someone who stands up to it and says, well, I don't want to do that because I never got challenged in my life? Or are you going to be somebody who says, you know what, I'll do that. Is there anything else I can do? We want to grow people, young people, into pillars in our community. We want them to come back to the small towns we're in, because in Wisconsin, if you're in a city in an urban area, there are a million more opportunities, and that takes you in all different directions. In a smaller community, the joke is in a broadcast that if they're on the road in the playoffs, that the last person out of town turns the lights off, right? That's the old cliche, right? And that's really true, though. Communities really get behind, especially in these smaller places in Wisconsin, really get behind these schools. Not that they don't in bigger places, but if you go to a city of 1,000 or 2,000 people and they're going to state in something, like I guarantee you that there's nothing open in town on the day that they're playing that game. And that's one of the things that I think that people need to that maybe they know, but what people should appreciate is that people take a lot of pride in where they're at. And when you have a group of young people representing that community, especially if they're representing it well and doing things, not just like winning things, but like going out and doing things that reflect well on a community, I think that brings a certain amount of pride to the people living there. Quick anecdote: we had an official review our JV football game last week, and in his card, he just noted that our cheerleaders, our coaches, our players, our fans were all exceptionally well behaved, and it was a great atmosphere. It's what high school sports is all about. And I just made a simple graphic to kind of promote our program a little bit. The WIAA took that and shared a broader message about sportsmanship and working within the community to provide these opportunities for student athletes. And I think that's what we've really embraced, is just that attitude, that idea that we can make this a positive thing for our communities. And it doesn't just have to be about what's on the scoreboard. There's so much more that goes into it, as you guys know. And as I'm sure a lot of the people that are watching or listening to this know, there's so much more that goes into it beyond what's on a scoreboard.
So much more going into it. In fact, you pointed this out, and kind of Johnny were saying about, yeah, extracurriculars. Let's be honest, these are essentials we're talking about. Thinking of our friends at Educators Amplified, they're always reminding us, John, you teacher Hallie and teacher Joanna, wait a minute, no, not extracurricular, not extra, essentials.
Mhm.
Because Jimmie, what you talk, it's high school football. And again, to remind people, I think you're right when it comes to particularly, let's we're in fall. Let's talk about Friday night lights, particularly all across Wisconsin, all across this country, right? This is an event that occurs everywhere you can go. People coming through. When I was coaching my son, we would go to the high school football games when he was playing 7-year-old tackle football, and there were 3, sometimes 4 generations of a family there watching that Friday night football. And it was at that point where it kind of really dawned on me to say, you know, without the school, without the public school, this long history disappears, these connections. And so it really is, as we're bringing this, first down, Friday night lights, busting balls, you put it together. It's really that reminder too, to say, you love this, my next door neighbor. You love Friday night football. You love going there with your kids. You love bringing your grandkids. You love, Jimmie, as you said, a small town of 2,000 people, everybody getting on that bus, taking their car rides, going 2 hours for a state playoff game like that and coming together like that. That's because, though, too, of supporting a great thriving public school system, linking that back. And I know you also have that other connection, Jimmie. I'm going to remind you, you're also a school board member.
Public schools are really the heart and soul of a community. You mentioned 4 generations, right?
Mhm.
Coming out to a game. So one thing that I really worked hard at this year was to bring some recognition nights. So we did a salute to service night to open. Our last home game was an alumni night, and nobody's really tried this in football. I took a college model of when, if you're an alum, if you played football here and you were an alum, sign in as you come in through the ticket gate, put your graduation year, and we're going to read you off at halftime if we don't get 150 of you, because then we'll have to extend halftime. But we would probably still be reading names right now if that would have happened. And the game was last week. But what was really interesting is that we had a group that came through, and it was a great grandfather, a grandfather, the father, and then one of our freshman players, a quarterback. And we had a 4-generation photo down in front as part of the recognition, and it just really shows just how deeply rooted in community, in these athletic or music, arts, anything, just where people are, and bringing all these people together for an event like this to recognize them, and people appreciate that. One of the things that we ended that alumni night, by the way, was, hey fans, make sure you give one last cheer for these guys who gave it all on the football field, so they can hear the roar of the crowd one last time. And that to me, like, just seeing a couple of them guys, like, they're just, they kind of did one of these. It kind of took a step back a little bit, like, wow, like I forgot what this was like.
Mhm.
And I think that they take that, there's a pride in that. They take that back into the workplace. They take it back into whatever they're doing. If they're in town, around town, even if they're coming from out of town, they're taking that back and saying, I think this town, and in our case, it's basketball. I think basketball is a great place. Just look at what they're doing for the people that have been there, and how they're treating the people that are still in town, and what they're doing at the program. These are things that you can build a community with. It's things that you can build a culture with. And in our case, in a district that is decidedly very low income, we have a very high special needs population in our school district. We passed a referendum by about 80 votes. There's a perception that we've really fought to change. And one of the things I've done since I've moved here in the last 3.5 years is, because I'm not from this area, I'm from northern Wisconsin, so I'm in a whole new community, is I really wanted to embrace that culture and that community aspect of it, and say, hey, we're part of what you're doing. We want you to be a part of what we're doing. It shouldn't be this thing where this school is just albatross that's off to the side in town without even having signs pointing to it in town. Up until last year, you didn't know where the school was if you weren't from here. It took me a while to figure out that we actually had 4 different buildings for schools, and that's now being consolidated to 2, which will help, I think, help with where people got to go. But to the point that there isn't this wall between city and school. Now
Mhm.
everything's kind of ingrained. The city's partnering with us on ball fields now, so we're sharing space. We're working together. We've got beautiful, beautiful facilities as part of a referendum that the city is helping. It's just great to see it kind of coming together in such a short amount of time. And I think it really just speaks, as you said, to just having a public school and knowing that the people in the town, they're the, in the city, in your district, they're the people supporting it, and that there's a lot of give and take back and forth, that we're all in this together, and we're doing this for the kids. So.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Coach K. Listener, this is why it's so important. What we're talking about here, chopping it up, getting excited about, we're talking about football on this episode, but really like these essentials, these things we call extracurricular that are so much a part of the development of the young citizens in our community. And just kind of plug on it, when we talk about public schools being a bedrock of democracy, that's for local towns, like whether you're a big city or whether you're a small rural community. These are part of our local economy. They're part of opportunities for more than just fans and athletes, right? And coaches and folks who might have an affinity for football or say wrestling or basketball or any of volleyball. We could go on and on. But really, we're talking about these events are opportunities for all of your sons and daughters or the young people you see out in the community to be in a role. Maybe they're the photographer. Maybe they're working with the broadcast team on the high school radio station. Maybe they're on yearbook. There are so many ways that these events are ways that our community interface with young people, but young people get the experience to learn so many things. And that's such an important part of this, right? We think about, you go out for pizza, you grab an ice cream. These are parts of our local economy that are really, I think, a stalwart and signatory note of what it's like to be youth in the United States, and to have public schools provide that framework and opportunity, and where so many of our young people find passion that complements their academics. We all know it. When students belong, they do better in school. And one of the ways we belong is see ourselves in connection with others. And that's the sort of thing, sometimes we call them soft skills, right? Or leadership skill learning. All of those things happen through sports. And we always think about it like the athletes, the participants on the field, or maybe their family members or the people directly related to the game. But there's so much that goes behind the scenes. So many different volunteers in our community, whether it's like Coach K talking about volunteering as a coach, or it's like EMTs who are present, all the different folks who come together to make these events possible. Man, it's always been a highlight of me being a teacher. I love being a coach. I love hearing that. And folks, it's every way part of education. So, we talk about it here on Busted Pencil. So if you have a question or a comment about these, you can always give us a call or text at 608-557-8577 and expect to hear from us about these things every week. And you know what? Coach K is going to be joining us for a lot of those, and a lot of his friends and folks in Wisconsin and across this country who do similar work going to be on here as well. Jimmie, thanks for being here, and thanks for all that you do.
Hey, I appreciate you guys and what you're doing. There's so many ways for community members to be involved, and we see it right here in our small community as well. It is great to see so many people engage in the community, engage in the schools and what we're doing. And I can provide a million examples here locally, but I tell you what, it's more than just what's on the scoreboard. It's not a zero-sum thing. We have got to give kids opportunities to grow in areas that sometimes we don't even expect them to. You would be amazed at the leadership examples that come out of these things. I appreciate you guys having me for this.
Coach K, Jimmie Kaska, Civic's own right there. Yeah, we're going to be dropping this every Friday. First Downs, Friday Night Lights, Busting Balls. Coach K next week too, right away, going right to one and bringing in some coaches and some players. Is it going to be your town? Hey, would you like to be a part of this segment? Give us a call, 608-557-8577. We want to hear about your first downs, your Friday nights. And man, everybody, hang on. Keep on busting pencils. We'll see you next time.
Yeah, and get out and support. Go to a Friday night football game or get out in your community. Just drive by the school, see what's happening. You see those lights. So just be part of it. I promise you, it'll be a welcoming community, and you'll have a great experience. So go out and support these great programs.